We are a country where out of the 1.4 billion people, 90% of the people have never sat in an aircraft. They have never traveled by air. It's only the 10% of the population who have access to this facility to take a flight to move from one place to another. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because this figure is important to understand the kind of growth prospect that the aviation industry has in India. Of course, with time, you would want more percentage of population to use this service. But when you take a closer look at how the industry functions, you will find that the systems are not robust. Take the instance of what's happening within the Tata Group. They have four airlines which they want to merge into two. Now these are your AIX Connect, which was formerly known as AirAsia, supposed to be merged with Air India Express. And then, of course, you have Vistara and Air India, which is also supposed to merge. So the four airlines will now merge and become two low cost carrier or LCC. What is the problem with that? The problem is, in one sentence, the devil is actually in the details, because when you propose a merger of this nature, a lot of things even in terms of the culture of the two airlines will have to converge. And there begins the conflict areas. Now this is happening with Air India Express and former AirAsia merger, which are two completely different cultures. And those of us who have traveled by air, we know it's a different experience altogether. The AirAsia experience vis-a-vis the Vistara experience, vis-a-vis the Air India experience. So when you talk of a merger, the employee mindset to the clothing to the cost factor, a number of things have to come together, have to converge for the merger to happen successfully. So I imagine that there would be a huge churn. Now that is where the problems arose with the cabin crew of Air India Express uh, refusing to show up to work because of the new terms of their contract, the new arrangement that they would have to now sign up for because of the merger. They refused to comply and they reported sick. Bulk of them were dismissed and then they had to be reinstated. 30 cabin crew members, in fact, were sacked, summarily dismissed, and then after negotiations, after the Labour Commission, in fact, Central Labour Commission intervened, the airline was forced to take them back. There would have been, of course, a serious amount of discussion, debate, dialogue over how the two parties could resolve the conflict areas. The point here is about the unionizing of the employees. Now, this has been happening, and part of the issue is because you have the pilots and the cabin crew heavily unionized, they do have a sort of bargaining power where they come together, in a way, gang up against their employer and say, we will not report to work, we will all report sick. What happens then? The entire airline service is thrown out of gear. And who does it inconvenience the most? You and me, the passengers who are at the receiving end of all of this. So it causes, of course, a huge financial loss to the airline and also a reputation loss to the airline. So, one issue is the unionizing of employees. Now, if there are labor laws that are to be applied, these unions ensure that they are not shortchanged, that they are kept within the purview of the labor laws. The employers, in many cases, tend to crack down on employees and force them to fall in line, especially when there is a big business merger. There's only so much dissent that they can accommodate. So, all of that, at least in this case, has been resolved for now, but it's an interesting case study to actually look into the problems of the aviation industry. What is the role of DGCA in all of this? DGCA is the Director General of Civil Aviation, which is supposed to set the rules in place so that it becomes incumbent on the employers, the airlines, as well as the employees, the staff of the airlines, to follow the broader rules. But somewhere, as we know, DGCA has lost teeth, has lost authority. Often enough, the business entities are too powerful. The employees, like I said, are at their mercy, but because of their unions, sometimes they manage to get their way through. In order to resolve the conflicts that keep appearing time and again, there of course needs to be a robust system that is rolled out, and there needs to be a lot of reforms that are initiated in this regard. So I had a very detailed discussion with the aviation expert, Mr. Sanjay Lazar was with me on the show last evening. In fact, I urge you to see that video on YouTube, on Free Press Journal's YouTube channel. I will be putting the link on the description. I also spoke to aviation journalist Manisha Singhal was with me, in fact, having a conversation about how these conflict points are a repetitive pattern, and only with due diligence, with right intent in place, can they be resolved. Because end of it all, it's the passenger that bears the brunt of delayed schedules or change in schedules or cancellation of flights, which often causes massive inconvenience to a very large number of people who use this airline service in our country. Do watch that video. Thanks for watching.